Hello, guys. This is the Healing Oracle here, and I have my very special guest, Ms. Larissa Bates, here with me. So, welcome all. I'm going to do shares going here so that my peeps from the page can find me. And we are just going to be having a casual conversation about consciousness, energy, dimensions, extraterrestrials, extra dimensionals, you name it. We just, want to show everybody that is going through the spiritual journey that you're not alone. There's others that are going through it. There are people that have the same questions that you do. Okay, and if we don't have the answer, then typically our guides or universe will kind of hint us on at least what person needs to know so that they can go find the information for themselves, because really that's what it's all about, is listening to ourselves and gaining our intuition, and just expansion of our own consciousness. So um, so let me share here. So um, I'm gonna I'm gonna let Miss Larissa introduce herself a little bit, and just say where she's from, where she got her journey started, what age, when did she notice that she was in the journey, because sometimes those are two different things. So Miss Larissa, I'll let you take the floor for a minute.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Larissa. I'm from Big Sky Country, Montana, and it's hard to say when my journey began because it's been through waves of sometimes confusion. You don't really know why you're going through what you're going through, and I guess a lot of hardship has brought me to my spiritual journey and awakening. But to lead me up to the point of today, I would have to say my journey of awakening really was sparked in 2012. I had laid down for a nap, and the nap had become many hours. But when I had awoken, I had realized that I had come back from this nap, which I know now is astral traveling, with a lot of knowledge and information I did not know before I had laid down to take the nap. And when I researched it and Googled a lot of the stuff that I had just witnessed or beheld, I realized that this information was from another place, and that I am not, like, I believe that love is my religion, and that we are all human. We are of the human race with an alien origin. That I do believe that I am a star seed, and because of the astral traveling that I had done in 2012, that really sparked me to where I am today. I believe I am spreading seeds to awaken the collective to other parallel universes, that to embrace that we are not from here, that we are here on Earth, learning that Mother Gaia is conscious, and we are helping her in her journey, as well as we are having a journey ourselves on this planet. Do I have a degree to back up what I'm saying? Of course I don't. This is all the journey and my path that I was born on this earth to walk, and I've accepted that it's different than my neighbors, friends, brothers, sisters, every person in general. And I'll be on my path till the day I leave Earth, as well as you will. But I hope that the information that me and my sister Trish are going to, chat about tonight will enlighten you, or give you a spark to investigate what we're talking about, or maybe you've experienced it yourself, and to know that none of us are alone here in this journey, that we are all one collective, one love, one heart, one strings. And
Absolutely.
maybe by us opening up to what we're going through, we can help you understand what you're going through.
Absolutely. And this is why we do what we do, not just this, but just share our knowledge. This is why this is certainly why I come on live, not just here, not just on Facebook, just to share my knowledge and to show everybody you're not alone. Pretty much you're not crazy. This is a new age that we're going into. Mother Gia is raising her vibration, and we're like the fleas on the job. We're going with her, okay? And just to spark something inside of you, just to have that spark getting you asking the right questions, whether it's to yourself or to others, okay, not just to others but to yourself, to go to go inward and ask the right questions. Is there more to life than what I'm being shown, more to life than what we're told is, okay? And just a little bit about me. Some of you guys, excuse me, some of you guys already know who I am. Those who don't, who've never seen me before, my name is Trish. You can find me on Facebook as Trish Violet. I run the Healing Oracle Facebook page. I do live streams on there once a week. I try to do them once a week anyway, as much as life allows me to. And I just get on and I just answer questions, because I was once there when I had my awakening and I had nobody. I had a very spontaneous awakening. I call it my near death experience because I don't know what else to describe it for, because I was pulled over there. It was a matter of a minute here, but over there, it was my entire lifetime. I saw my entire lifetime. And then I was brought back here physically less than a minute from when I left, kind of like how Larissa just went to bed one night, and it was like she'd been gone for years, right? Um, and it was years for me. And I met with beings, I talked with my guides, I met with past loved ones, and I just got I want to say it was instantaneous, like download of all this universal knowledge that I'm still processing to this day. And I'll go into that a little bit later, just to bring up some of the things that we were wanting to talk about. But when I came back, it was like, okay, what in the world do I do with all this information? Who do I talk to? What do I ask? What do I do next? And I had nobody, because even if I were to start talking about it, nobody would understand what in the world I was talking about. And I had this whole different 180-degree view on the world and reality and what it was and what it should be. And I was very sad because for a while I was very depressed because I had nobody and I saw the world the way it was, and that's not the world that I was shown was supposed to be. Okay, we are supposed to be so different, and we can be so different still if we work together on this and get this consciousness expanded to where it should be. You guys have no idea what you're capable of. We are capable of so much more. My guides have told me that my gifts and what I do and my abilities to read people is only just the tip of the very, very pencil tip of the iceberg. Okay, that's miles deep, and that underneath the water, that part is who we truly are. Okay, that is who we truly are. And that, my friends, is why we are here, when we are here, as we are here, because this time, this place now on earth is when we are bringing that up and showing others how to bring that up. It's time for us to be our true selves here. Okay, and this is how reality should be, is everything below the water. That's us, our higher selves, our true self, our light being, our energy being. That is who we truly are. We are not this body. Okay, we are not this physical body. We are merely just having a human experience because we wanted to learn from being human. Okay. But this is why we do what we do, because we want others to experience this. Because when I was pulled over there, I saw a reality of love. I saw a reality of forgiveness. I saw a reality of just peace. Okay, I saw a reality of understanding. And then I was pulled back over here, and it was like I was put back in a mud hole. I mean, really, I mean, in a physicality point of view, it going back into my body from being over there in a world of lightness and peace and love and understanding, that I was put back in a physical body on a physical plane that was dense and murky, and it literally felt like I was and heavy. Yes, just heavy, and it just heaviness. Low density, low vibrational, just it was very heartbreaking whenever, when I came back and realized that. And just to, I guess just to follow up from that, when somebody, I've heard others talk about their near death experiences as well, and we all have one thing in common. All of us have one thing in common, is that while we were meeting with these beings, and while we are communicating and getting this knowledge, we were all given a choice on whether or not we wanted to come back. Okay, and we were shown, at least I was shown. I don't know if others were shown or not, but I know all of us that I've talked to, also having this experience, were given a choice if we wanted to stay there or if we wanted to come back. I was shown parts of my life that had been, is, and will be, and I was shown the will be that was my decision maker if I wanted to come back or not. Basically, it was this is a possibility of how your life is going to be, because everything is timelines, everything is possibilities. There's nothing really set in stone when it comes to the future, because we're always creating it. We're creating that reality, future reality. I was shown points of possibilities. I was shown bad things, very bad things. I was shown very good things. And I was shown that before I was actually physically incarnated here, I had chosen to come in here and talk about this stuff and to bring consciousness to the world and help expand others and help light that spark in between in their selves, and myself as well, myself included. Okay, because I have to go through this before I can talk about it. That's only fair. If I'm up here talking about things I've never experienced, then I'm not very good. I'm not being very authentic. So the things that I've chosen have been for a reason, so that I can describe it, I can explain it, I can help you guys understand from my physical point of view. But I was shown those things and then asked the question if I wanted to come back or not. There will be hard times, there will be not so hard times, there will be awesome times, but you had chosen this mission, to come forth and do this, to help expand awareness, to help expand consciousness, and just seed it. And I chose to come back so that I could be here in front of you all and with Miss Larissa here, because if I hadn't come back, who knows? I wouldn't have started the page. I wouldn't have 13,000 people that are, following the page. And my reach, is hundreds of thousands. So those hundreds of thousands of people that are seeing what I'm writing and posting, they wouldn't have been affected. Okay, now I know that most people just see it and scroll on, which is fine. But you know what? It seeds their consciousness. I don't care if they're looking at it and moving on. They're still seeing it. And there's still something inside of them that catches their eye and reads it. Okay, and maybe it doesn't do anything for them then, but later on, it may just be the straw that leads to the dam breaking. Okay, you know what I mean? So, and that's okay. That's okay. So, Larissa, how about, and I'll do the same. So, aside from the experience with you going to sleep and then waking up with all this knowledge and questions and so forth, do you think you can describe one of your, other than that, one of your first spiritual experience where you looked at things from a spiritual point of view, when you looked at things differently or understood it from a more cosmic spiritual point of view, that really just defined your journey?
Okay, I would have to say there's two things that collide at that same time.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And back in 1990, I believe it was 96.
Okay.
97. Maybe 97. Yeah, it was 97. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, and I had two sons. One
Okay.
was 8 and one was 2.
Okay. Mhm.
So that in itself
Right.
wasn't a awakening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mm.
So that in itself was an awakening. And also in that same year, same period of around the same time, you know, me and my sister had an abduction experience.
Oh,
So
yes. Okay.
I was awakened to the cosmic, I guess, other realms when like we see a rainbow, a spectrum is given to us, say that we see the same primary colors. Because that's what
Absolutely.
we're taught in school, that rainbow.
Absolutely.
But
yes.
when I had cancer, there was an above rainbow, just as large, just as big, that had opened up, that had opened my eyes, opened my senses. I had felt things I had never felt before. I had an awareness of the people around me, because before that time, it's almost like I was two separate people.
Sure.
Before the cancer and after the cancer. Before the cancer, I was a wounded child. I had lost my mother at 11. I was angry.
And
I was hateful. I felt like the world owed me something. But after the cancer, that stuff didn't seem important anymore.
Sure.
The things that seemed so important before that didn't seem important anymore.
Sure.
So that awoken me to a different spectrum.
Absolutely, it would have. Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
Being frightened and knowing that time is supposed to be moving, as they say here on Earth, stops for a moment in time, and you witness what you know is a UFO.
Absolutely.
Especially because the city I grew up in, my childhood home, is a United States Air Force base connected to it. We know what look like. We know, fighter jets, and knowing that you're seeing something that is UFO, and seeing time stand still because of what's going on with you and my sister was with me. The two of us. What we were experiencing was not what the world around us was experiencing.
Yes, it was like you were like in a time bubble, wasn't it? Yeah. Well,
my eyes were opened up to the alien side.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say 1996 was a big awakening.
Okay. And you were young. You were 13, 14?
Also,
yeah.
No, I was 24.
Oh, okay.
And also, I
want
to say that at this time, that I don't think I was the only one awakening. A lot of people were.
Sure.
The Hale-Bopp comet was in the sky when all this took place.
Okay.
Which I think is really important to talk about.
Because, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
The Hale-Bopp comet brought in a lot of stuff.
Yes, it did. Yes.
So I know I could look up and see when the comet was in the sky, what year. I'll know that's the year that I'm talking about at this point.
85, 86. Yeah, I know it was right before I was born. I actually came in right after the Hale-Bopp comet left, which is significant.
Okay.
So
at that point, that was an awakening moment for me, because it's hard to tell people when they don't believe it, and maybe you weren't so sure you believed it before either, but now there's something you can't deny. You've physically seen it, you've witnessed it. It is a part of who you are now. Absolutely.
And it was like you were like in a time bubble, it seemed like. It was just you and your sister, and then you see this UFO, and it was like you were in some kind of temporal anomaly where you and your sister were moving, but those around you, they were just going on as life as usual, right? Like it was nothing.
That was the most confusing thing. It's like,
sure,
we're terrified. To us, there's a lot going on.
Right.
To everybody around us, they're in their cars, they're on lunch break, they're driving back to work, they're doing whatever.
Okay.
Not affected by any of this. But in our reality, it's very terrifying. We don't know what's going on. We don't understand why there's a ship, following us. And
Right.
there's
And
still a lot that I don't remember and I don't know, but I know what I experienced was real. And it changed my life that day.
absolutely. And it was meant to, I mean, we can kind of go into that too about how, it was meant to happen that way to, again, I'm going back to the sparking things inside you to get you to ask yourself those questions, or to connect with your sister, and ask those questions, and her, you were meant to experience that as a part of your awakening process, and it was meant to have a deep impact on you like that, and it's not like, and I said this the other day, and this goes for like the wide witnessing of, or a large audience witnessing a UFO, say the Phoenix Lights, let's take that for example. You gotta ask yourself, or say to yourself, these beings, these beings from another dimension or another planet or wherever, both, they're so far more intelligent. Just by looking at the spacecraft, you can tell they're 1,000 million times more intelligent than we are, and technologically advanced. Just by seeing videos, seeing it yourself, you can tell. But ask yourself, is that an accident, that you would have seen them? Because it's not like a race that's that intelligent would be like, oh my God, oops, I forgot to put on the invisibility shield. I hope nobody saw me.
Right.
I mean, come on, that doesn't happen by accident. That we're meant to see that, or whoever it is that's meant to see that. Okay, because it gets us asking those questions. It gets that in our minds, like, could there be? Could I saw it with my own eyes? How do I discredit that when I see it with my own eyes? But you got to know that each person that witnessed it, because honestly, I do believe that just like your experience, you can be on a mountaintop with somebody else together, and somebody standing next to you, whether it's your brother, your sister, your mother, whoever, and then you see it. I do believe that that person may not see it, and they can be like, what are you talking about? There's nothing there. What are you talking about? I think that we have to be ready for it in some kind of a sense or another. We have to be open to that even. Sorry, guys. They don't like it when I'm in here and they're not. That's mommyhood. But something inside that person that's seeing it, something in there is ready for you to see that, so that you can ask those questions. And that being said, the person next to you just isn't there yet, and that's why they can't see this. So they have to be aware. They have to be on a wavelength to where they're not going to react in such a way that's going to be harmful to themselves if they see it. So does that make sense?
Yes.
So
spreading seeds. They were spreading seeds as well as we are today.
Exactly. Exactly.
See this and hear this message, we'll hear the message and they will see this.
Exactly. Whoever is meant to be on is going to be on. Whoever is ready to hear what we're talking about will be on, and their guides are going to lead them to right here where we're at. And that kind of goes into how we met, Larissa. That's kind of how we met. Is I was really absolutely. And I was just starting to do my videos on Facebook. I was just kind of coming out of my shell a little bit. I was doing card readings, which I still do from time to time. But that was me testing my intuition, getting some messages out while I was reading the cards, whether or not those people realized it or not. I was seeding information, seeding knowledge. But you somehow, some way, had found one of my live feeds just randomly pop up, right? Actually, weren't you the one that said that you got a notification for it and you didn't even sign up for it? It just popped up on, that I was live. And then, so
Yeah.
you just like, okay, what the heck, you know?
Well, I decided, why not listen?
Yeah. Well, you know, it came up for me, so why not jump on and listen? And then when, you know, well, I'll let you tell the story, but let's talk a little bit about that and, you know, how you found me, how we kind of connected.
Well, we're talking about our awakening journey, and you know, when you learn and you start going through it, you realize that it's not really an easy journey. That awakening is a hard journey. Like you had mentioned earlier, you go through a depression, and I was up late one evening, and that is when I got this notification to watch Trish. At the time, I didn't know. I was just, you know, I'm like, oh, you know, I like to listen to card readings because I believe in them. I believe in the other side. I believe in our guides guiding us. So I'm like, you know, I'm gonna listen to her. I'm gonna watch her, and ended up doing the card reading, but really realizing, like, when I seen and I heard Trish, I'm like, this is my star system. I feel like I already know her. Like, this had more to do about us meeting and being where we are today than me ever getting a card reading from Trish. She is my sister. We are connected on a very, very finite wavelength together.
Yes, absolutely.
And I had met her by accident through the web, so I must say thank you to the web for bringing me, my star, into this world where I felt alone. Like the night that I was, you know, listening for the reading, I felt alone because I had already had my awakening. I'm late, sitting awake at night, doing, you know, educating knowledge. I need to, you know, educate myself on what I'm like feeling, seeing, thinking, knowing.
Absolutely.
And here's Trish.
Absolutely.
And we connect on so many levels, and that's how our journey began, of the not knowing, but being where I was meant to be at that moment, both of us. Her doing the reading, me doing the searching, the staying out, you know, occupying my mind, and there you were, and here I was, and here's the spark today, spreading the seeds, like it's meant to be, like who's meant to be and be here and hear this and witness this is the same way that I met you.
Absolutely.
The universe knows.
Absolutely. And I was meant to come on at that specific time, specific day, because you were available and I was, and it just worked out so perfectly. And then just so you all know, we are seeking credit for the Sistar term. That was us, me and Larissa. We started that 100%. That was us, Sistars.
That worldwide. Yeah. Trish and Larissa, the divine sisterhood.
Yes.
We are sisters. Yes. And
oh yes. So we started that. But you know, and this goes for everybody. Like, you have to see how you're led to some of these teachings, or you're led to some of this knowledge. You know, somewhere in there you ask the question, what about this? Or I would love to learn more about this. And then somehow the next day you're getting notifications, or you're getting little breadcrumbs somewhere, or a book pops out at you, or you know, something. Yes, absolutely. Like little breadcrumbs. That's how our guides, that's how the universe leads us. It's just through little breadcrumbs. I was just going through my awakening. I remembered some stuff from my time over there, not all of it, and I was, you know, because it was like downloaded to my consciousness like in a zip file, okay? And I had some information out. I had some that I had to go in and like get the passcode, you know, and that's usually like a trigger. They would open it, you know. But I knew I was a starseed. I was coming to terms with that, and I was kind of trying to learn more about my origins and that. And then so I asked my guides in a meditation, please, you know, lead me, or who am I? What am I? Where am I from? Okay, I already given this information in the zip file, but I had yet to open it. So I asked them, and I didn't get anything right then. Well, I had nothing. It was like crickets chirping, you know. And so the next day I was driving, and I just kept thinking the word over and over again, and I didn't even know it was a word. I didn't know what it was. It just kept saying Arcturian, Arcturian, Arcturian. So I'm like, is that even a word? You know, like, what is that? I don't understand. And so I was driving. I couldn't do any kind of research. I waited till I got home and I typed in that word. Of course, I misspelled it, but um, you know, so many things come up about Arcturian race, and I'm like, no kidding, really, guys, you know, like, um, so I had no idea it was even a term, a word, you know, didn't even know what it was until I typed it in and we did and found it, like it was right there in front of me. Now, most of the time, you don't get direct words like that. They will lead you to an article, or they will lead you to a book or an author, and then you go deeper and deeper, and then you realize all of a sudden, wait a minute, that's my answer. Holy cow, you know. They are not, and I want to get something straight with everybody about your guides and asking them questions, or the universe, and asking them questions if you're connected on that level, which we all are. We just are not understanding it in the way that we're taught in this world, that that's what's happening. But they really should be giving you direct answers. Anything that's giving you direct answers is probably not of good worth or not of good nature, because then they're trying to kind of alter your path in such a way, because your guides want you to ask the questions, yes, but they want you to ask you the questions, you know. So a lot of times whenever I'm asking in meditations and I'm asking universe or guides or whoever, angels, whoever it is that I'm speaking with, they usually answer with another question, you know, and then I got it. But that makes me answer it myself. You see what I mean? Like, they're not giving me the answer. They really shouldn't, because we are here to grow.
We're having technical difficulties over here.
Of course we are. Yeah. That's usually the way it works.
Seem to have technical difficulties.
That's right. It wouldn't be a show if something more than happened. Or kids screaming at the door, you know, something. But see, and I lost my train of thought. Oh, we are put here to grow. We are put here to ask the questions. We are put here to learn. And what do you learn by being given all the answers? You don't learn a thing. Somebody just says, "Here, Laura, here's the answer to life, your mission, your next husband, your next, you know, this, that." Well, that's not really. You're not learning. You're not growing. You're not. You gotta. Yeah, you know, you gotta get out there. You gotta experience it. That's the whole point. You need to experience it instead of someone just handing you the answer all the time. Because then you're not. You may even alter your path if you get an answer, because then you're not going to do any work. You're just going to expect that that's what's going to happen. And then guess what? It probably isn't going to happen, because then you didn't do your work. You didn't do your growth. You didn't do your processing, your movement.
Well, is such a big part of that.
Yeah.
If we know the answers, then we're not given free will.
Exactly. That is free will, is to go out and make your own choices. That's what free will really means, is to be experiential, to make your own choices. You have the ability to choose left or right or up or down. You know, that's our free will, and it can be used in any way you want to. Hopefully, goodness, you would use it for spreading light and being light, being love and spreading love, of course. But you can do that in a million and one different ways, and experience, but still be light. You know, still be love. You know, there's experiential for love and infinite possibilities. Okay, and the whole point is to experience. The whole point is experiencing. Okay, and you know, going back to, you know, we're not this body. We're not physical. We're not just this physical. We are not just this body. We are energetic essences that are having a human experience, because it wanted to learn, because it wanted to grow, because it wanted to see what it could do here, and see what it could learn here, and see what it could learn there. um and that kind of gets into, like soul ages a little bit. Some of the information I got when I was over there was, soul ages. So just as a toddler gains, such as a newborn baby, grows a day, learns to eat, learns to burp, then the next day it's natural to them eating and burping and all that. Okay, so that's a day old, and then it gets to a year old and it knows even more, right? And then it gets to 2 and 3 and so forth. So we could pertain that to our lifetimes, and then we get our soul age. Okay, so your soul age is how many lifetimes have you lived, where you've grown, where you've experienced, where you've expanded. Okay, and this is where you get into old souls. The term old souls versus a young soul. A young soul has not lived as many lifetimes as someone with an old soul. You could be a very young person and have a very old soul, and you could be a very old person and have a very young soul. Okay. Um,
Yeah, I think my grandson has a very, very good soul.
yeah, and these kids, I did want to speak about the kids that are coming in this during this time.
They're
Oh my
so
goodness.
wise. So wise.
Yes, they are. Oh, it is going to be a good generation. And there was a post that I saw the other day. It was speaking about um, how the next generation is learning from woke parents. And I hate the term woke because I feel like that's a mainstream term to label us, and I don't, I'm not resonating with that. So I choose to say awakened, okay, spiritually awakened parents. So yeah, but you're right though, because my children being 2 and 4, and then I have an older one who's 14, you can tell that they're none of them are mainstream, of course, because that's partially because what they've learned from me. Okay, they could care less about mainstream. They could care less about who's wearing what or why or who's listening to what. Now the 2-year-old sure is too young enough to kind of be affected by that, but the other two, they don't care what everybody else has got. They don't care what anybody thinks. They talk about their dreams they had last night with strangers that we're talking to in a restaurant, and you know what? That is awesome because I couldn't do that whenever I was, my mom was like, shh, shh, and I'm not talking my mom because my mom is my number one fan, next to Larissa, of course. But the the point being is that it's a different world. Back in when I was a child, you couldn't talk about this stuff. It wasn't accepted. You had to follow mainstream. That's just the acceptance of what the world was back then. Nowadays, with the awakened community, and you know, uh, Larissa being just a slight bit older than me, but we're still kind of part of the same generation. We are showing our kids our awakeness, our spirituality. They see this, whether
and
or
I
not.
feel like in my case, I have grandkids. So my grandkids, they hear about me talking openly about spiritualism and the positivity, the power of love, and
Absolutely.
without unity, there's no community.
Absolutely.
And my grandson, he tells me about his dreams, and he's not ashamed to tell me about his dreams.
That's awesome.
I know that some of what he says isn't really dreams, that what he's talking about is really reality, and that he just knows more than a lot of us do here right now.
Exactly.
And I take it for face value.
Absolutely. And the fact that he knows it is reality, like that in itself is awesome. When that's his reality, and this is how the world's going with those kids, and then my kids who they, whether or not I'm aware that they're watching me, and that goes for any parent, any child in the world. But the point is that they're learning from the example that we're setting by being spiritual and being light and being love, and they're watching everything that we're doing. So then the next generation, these kids, you know what, honestly, and I'm not retracting on what I just said, but they're coming in this way. They really are. They're coming in this way. They're incarnating this way, and then by having awakened parents.
The time we came in. Yeah, they chose this special time.
Exactly.
And yes, I agree.
Absolutely. And there's a few waves that came in, just one to build on the previous. So these kids are already coming in higher vibrational to begin with, okay, and then they choose awakened parents to where they can build on that. You know, this next generation is going to be incredible, and it's going to be a completely different reality. And us right now, we're the stepping stone. We're bringing it out into the light. We're bringing it out. We're seeding that consciousness, and we're watching it transform with the next generation.
Yeah, we threw that pebble in the river and it created a ripple.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we are the ripple. Exactly. We are the ripple. So the waves that came in, it started.
I have a blue wave, I have a blue ray.
Okay.
Came in on the first wave. I'm a first waver.
Okay. And I'm part of the second wave. I already know my violet ray. I knew that long before my aura was photographed. And then the children that are coming in nowadays.
Which I was not surprised by that picture.
Oh, I wasn't either, but it was so neat and so validating to see that. And the lady that was doing the aura photography was like double taking it, and she couldn't believe it. She's like, I have never met anybody with that high of a vibration and that color violet. Like, and it wasn't just like my upper chakras that were vibrating that high. It was all of them. They were all, even my root chakra was vibrating at 900 megahertz. And she's like, I just can't.
Which is a goal that we all want to do.
Yeah.
That's a goal for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. When not just your higher chakras can vibrate at that rate, but your lower chakras too, because that says that my root chakra vibrating that high, I'm grounding, and actually says in the workings that she did, that it mapped out that because your root chakra vibrates at this high, you're actually getting your grounding energy from higher dimensions. And of course, that doesn't mean I'm not getting it from Mother Earth, but Mother Earth is multidimensional herself. So I'm not getting it from the physical Earth. I'm getting it from the energetic Earth, which is a goal for, again, it's a goal for everybody. And this is what we came here to do, is to not only do that ourselves, that's the first step, is to do it ourselves. And the next step is to help others understand how to do this or why to do this, and when to do this, so the first wave. So when we dropped the atomic bomb, when we started doing the testing, actually, it wasn't the bomb that we always hear about in Japan. It was the very first bomb that was dropped during the testing. That was the first atomic bomb. It created like a beacon call, okay, a beacon call, a white flag, if you want to call it. It created a ripple, because when you're messing with atomic energy, nuclear energy, you're not just messing with this dimension. You're not just messing with this reality. It was going into other realities, other dimensions, other vibrational levels as well. It's atomic, okay. And it really, and to be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure what it did. I know it wasn't good. We shouldn't be messing with that kind of weaponry. We should be using it. The technology was given to us to help humanity, and instead it was used against humanity. So that enhanced.
Free energy for all.
Exactly,
yes,
and then
right.
You know what? And it's not far off. It's not far off. But so when that created the beacon, and all these beings and that were not only assisting Earth behind the scenes, they were assisting Earth behind the scenes. They were acting as our guides. They were acting as our guardians, our angelic helpers and what we consider angelic or just seventh and eighth density vibrational beings. We consider them angelic because it's all peace and love, and that's the energy that they're emitting. Well, they kind of had, if you want to put this in a physical point of view so that I can get you guys to understand this, is they all kind of had a meeting and they were like, these people are going to destroy themselves if they keep using that against humanity. You know, this was given to them so that they could assist humanity. It was given for you know, free energy essentially. And instead they turned it into a weapon, and now it's creating chaos and other dimensions on their own. So here's the plan. We're gonna send some of our own, but you know, cosmic law, universal law does not allow for intervention from a physical to physical, so they can't land on the house line and, like, you know, say, you know, you can't be doing this stuff, whatever. Well, and if you really want to put into reality, they actually did. But the most effective way, the most less karmically tied way, well, actually, it's the most karmically tied way, I should say. But anyway, the way they chose to do this is from the inside. Okay, so let's put people on the inside, or souls on the inside, so that they can work humanity from the inside, all while having a human experience so that they can understand humanity, especially for the souls that have never been to Earth before. Okay, and let's work at this from the inside and not as well focus on trying to get them to stop, but to raise humanity to a point where they're going to understand why they need to use it to help humanity and not against it, you know, because that's a better choice. A better choice, you can tell somebody to stop it all day long, right? And then they say, okay, but then they turn around behind your back and do it again, right? You know, that's their choice. But it's more effective to come in from the inside and help them understand, oh, shoot, that wasn't good. You know, I should really work on myself and get in and get past the point where they even think about using it against humanity, right? So they should, so that they should go inward and understand the more positive way to work with that kind of energy, or and not even use it for weaponry, okay, and destroy each other. They should just choose.
Right,
that goes
for them
with the
to-
free will.
Their one action is a ripple out to all the other galaxies, not just the one we live in.
Exactly. And so that's what they chose to do. Then they had volunteers come in to help change it from the inside. Okay, and but you know, these volunteers that are coming in, also it was under the understanding that they could get lost in the karmic ties too. They could get lost in the world. They could get lost beyond the veil. They came in knowing that there was a chance that they may not ever remember their mission. They may not ever remember that they were supposed to come in to help raise vibration, because the energy is so dense here, it's so thick. So they knew this whenever they came in. Now some are never going to awaken to their mission. Some will. Okay, and then Larissa is proof of this. Okay. And I know several others and first wavers that have come in and awoken to their mission, and there's a lot more than what we think they are. Sorry, there's a lot more than what we think there is. It's just that some have not awakened yet, or they have not awakened, or they're just beginning to awaken and they're too scared to talk about it yet, or they don't have anybody. They don't understand that they're all they need, not looking for somebody else. So they're looking for somebody else, not realizing that they have all the info in here. But anyway, so then the next wave that came in.
Honestly, I think a lot of depression stems from that.
Absolutely, no,
Find the external. They're trying to find an external answer within themselves, is where they harness the power to change that within themselves. They have to do the inner work, which is a hard job.
Absolutely.
To find that satisfaction, that joy, that what all they're searching on the outside world for is within themselves.
Absolutely, you are so 100% correct. Yeah, absolutely. And I was there. I was there because when I had my experience and then I came out of it and I came back to physicality, I was under, because of what we're taught in reality, that we have to be so reliant on other people for knowledge. That's what I was doing. I was searching outside for answers. I was trying to find this book or that book, and it's not wrong to want to do research at all, but you're never going to find exactly what you're looking for others. Okay, you're never going to find what you're looking for others. You are 100% every time going to find what you're looking for whenever you look for yourself, knowledge within you. Um,
And a
and
lot of our answers aren't found in textbook.
yeah, oh gosh, no,
You have
none
to
of
trust
them. Yeah,
your inner guide, your inner journey is teaching you, because you're not going to find it in a textbook or on the web, or it's something that is innerly found. The wisdom is known from within, and there's no one to back it up other than what you know
absolutely.
is to be the truth.
And the trick and all that is to be okay with that. Am I right? Is to be okay with the fact that you're all you need.
Right?
Exactly.
Unless they find sisters like we did.
Exactly.
And know that we're the same journey. We're like, oh, so this really is because what's going on together at the same time, two different places, but it's happening.
Exactly. No, yes, and we were just talking about this before we came on. We're a lot of times Larissa and me we'll either be doing a meditation at the same time and not know it, and then we'll get some information, and then we'll start messaging each other, and then one or both of us are like, oh my gosh, that's what I was just talking about, that's what I was just thinking about. And it's the same idea, maybe a little bit different wording, but it's because we both have different filters. But it's like our guides mine and her guides are like, hey Larissa, hey Trish, and they're like giving us the same information at the exact same time, and it's part of the collective, and I bet you probably more. So let's kind of paint a picture. So it's Saturday night, right? And Larissa, of course, I know you're an hour behind me, but say it's 10:30 on a Saturday night. That's I sit down to do my meditation. Larissa sits down to do her meditation, and we don't know that. I don't know that Larissa's just sitting down. She don't know that I am. And then so half an hour goes by, and then I'm like, you know what? I feel like I need to tell Larissa this. I should message her, see what she's doing. And then she's like, Trish, you're never gonna believe this. And then you'll say something like, oh my gosh, that's what I was gonna tell you. And this happens all the time. But this is
It happens all the time.
yeah, and this is part of the collective. I can guarantee you that more people are probably getting the same information and picking up on the same information because it's being given out. That's what I call a download. So I can guarantee you that more is getting this. It's just me and you are picking up on it at the same time, or unzipping it, that zip file at the same time. Or our guides are right there in our ear and using it into our ears, and we're taking it in, and then, and I think too, as we were talking about this too, is like, I would have been prompted to message you and tell you this, and then vice versa. And I feel like that's validation, like our higher self or our guides, or they want us to have that validation by knowing that, because maybe somewhere in there I or you were questioning this information, and like by telling you or you telling me, it's like, and we get the same thing, it's validation. So, and it doesn't have to happen that way, I mean, people, this is what synchronicity is for too. So say I'm somebody else and I'm getting this information, and then the next day I see repeating numbers, or I'll hear a song on the radio that's similar to or same wording as the information I was getting or thinking about, or I'll see a pattern or a phrase, or whatever the case may be, and it's like over and over again. This is what we call synchronicity. So this is our validation to ourselves. Exactly. It's validation that the information we were getting, we can trust that. We really shouldn't need synchronicity, am I right? But we do get it because we're human and we like validation. So, and that's okay.
Validation. Just us being here today is a validation of synchronicity, because I thought and you thought, but we had never talked about doing the video and coming out and talking to the collective together.
Mhm.
And then you're like, well, I was talking to my guides. They're like, you should do, oh, I'm going to do YouTube videos. Who should I do it with? Boom. Here was I.
Exactly.
And, for us to be here today, this is exactly a validation.
Exactly.
That here we are doing what we're supposed to do.
Exactly.
And I bet our guides are just like, yay!
I know, they're probably, yeah, I better have made them happy. Exactly. Yeah, and I was telling Larissa that story, so she didn't know the story about why I all of a sudden decided to. So I was going somewhere, I don't remember. I was driving to some store, and I was by myself, and I was talking to, because you guys have to understand, meditation isn't just about sitting down in a lotus position with with your palms up, singing we do meditation when we're
showers.
Exactly.
Doing dishes.
Exactly.
Meditation happens anywhere.
I do a lot of meditation when I'm folding clothes because I'm in the zone and I'm going and driving. Okay, when we're talking to ourselves and we're working out things in our minds, when we're going somewhere or doing dishes or cleaning house or folding whatever it may be, we're meditating. Okay. So this is what I was doing when I was in my car, and I was just because I just felt the sudden urge to do more. Okay, and I was like, okay, I'm already doing Facebook Lives, I'm already doing this and that, and then it wasn't like how about you do this? How about this? It wasn't even that. It was just all of a sudden my higher self probably was like, I'm gonna do YouTube live videos. It's just like all of a sudden, hands down, it wasn't even a question, it was just a statement, it was just a statement. And then I'm like, well, who in the world would come on, with me? And I was like, well, nobody else but Larissa, of course, because I want this to be, and I will have others on, I kind of want to do one a week and then bring others on and get their stories and that but for my first one, just kind of break the ice, there wasn't anybody better than Larissa, because we can just go and talk, we can just connect out of nowhere and then just go on about different subjects and validate and expand and learn and understand, and in a matter of, we can say so much in a matter of an hour, but yet we've just said the whole world, you know what I mean? Like, and this is what I want it to be. I want this show to be two people having a conversation back and forth, getting the knowledge out, getting our experiences out, showing others it's okay to talk about it, and that it's okay to be experiencing that also, because there's a lot of vibe going on.
We're not alone. We're not alone.
And yeah, you guys are not alone. There's other people going through this, okay? And let's see, we've got Gardner Happy. Hello, it's nice to see you back again. Awesome, hello. And then Florida Gator Girl, it's me, Emily. Awesome. Hi, Emily. I'm glad some people are finding us. Cool.
Yes, I hope a lot of people find us.
I do too. And you know what?
To talk about.
And there is. We could go on forever. But YouTube censors me so much. I was worried about people being able to find us.
Chance to open up.
Exactly, right. Exactly. Just open up and find me, and that way they can subscribe so that whenever, we do come on with the show again, they can jump on, This is kind of more of an introductory, but no, I want the show to be about just again, just so you guys know, you're not alone. There's many of us, and I can guarantee you there's a lot more of us than what we know of and what we can see, because, you know, going back to, some are too scared to talk about it yet. Some don't know how to talk about it, you know, or some can't talk about it because of a situation that they're in or something, and or they just don't know about themselves, or, you know, because I think, and I can honestly say this, I think that anybody, 100% of everybody that has ever or is going and ever will be going through an awakening process, at least this time on earth right now, the way the society is, has thought that they're crazy, you know, and there was something wrong with them. Yeah.
Right. And they feel alone.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
And nobody is alone here. You know, nobody is alone here.
And they're not crazy.
Definitely not.
And there really are other beings here, and we are being guided, and we are getting light codes, and the sun is doing crazy stuff, and that stuff really is happening, and none of us are crazy.
Exactly. So everything that you've experienced it and have experienced and will experience it, you're not crazy. This stuff is really going on.
Yes, a lot of people are now experiencing the light codes,
yes,
the light language, the quantum vision,
yes,
the sound, the symbols, and
yes,
you know,
the
I myself have
geometry.
been going through many awakenings, and even, you know, the other day, just letting my mind be free, meditating, I was drawn to pick up a piece of paper and a pen and talk about
yes, I saw
exactly
that.
what we're going to talk about today: the awakening, the consciousness, the being the creator, that we are the creator, every breath that we take, that our teacher here is this life, that is our teacher, and to respect this life, it is teaching, and we are here to learn, and that there's more, that this isn't it, that what we're doing here is preparation for what we are already doing out there.
Exactly. Exactly.
And don't feel like you might be going crazy if you're seeing light codes or hearing light language or seeing things that you're not used to seeing.
Exactly. And take it all in.
They're loving and they come from a place of love and light, then you should welcome that, because you just might be, like we are, a messenger.
Exactly. And a lot of times that's what they are. The ones that are here guiding us right now are messengers. What was that?
I am definitely a messenger.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I embrace that.
100%. Because the ones that are talking about this, you know, at least right now, and I can't say that someone who is not a starseed, it's just a human, not just a human soul, but is a human soul, cannot awaken and cannot talk about this. You know, I'm not saying that, but the ones that have volunteered to come in from other star systems, like, you know, myself and Larissa, several others, hundreds of thousands of others, we are just the messengers. We volunteered to come here to get the message. What was that?
Trish is Arcturian, I'm Sirian.
Yes, yes. So, and I can talk about my Arcturian experience too. So I did discover that I was an Arcturian starseed by having just an abduction experience, and it kind of caught me off guard. I was already awakened somewhat. I was already coming on doing my Facebook lives. They are not like they are now. They were, but that just shows the evolution of one's journey, the way that they change, you know, from time to time. But, and I know that, so let me just start off by saying that every person on this planet, all 7.5 billion of us, has had a quote abduction experience. We just don't remember that. They've worked on all of us. They've talked to all of us. They do have the Arcturians, Lyrians, Pleiadians. I mean, there's several others. They absolutely come from a place of love and forgiveness and peace. And they just want the best for us. They want humanity to become its best self. Okay. And we start doing that by working on each individually. So that's why they're doing a one-on-one thing. You know, one-on-one, I have my guys, you have yours, because that's how it starts. But I had woken up one night.
With a collective message. with the collective.
With a collect. You got it, girl. But I had woken up to an experience that really did catch me off guard at the time, and I didn't talk about it for about a few months because I really didn't know what to think about it. I was still trying to figure out what happened myself and remember the feelings that I was having while I was having. So I had already gone to bed. My husband was next to me on my right side, and I had woken up, but it was like I had not really woken up yet. I opened my eyes, I should say, and the whole room felt different. The whole room felt, it was like an odd stillness, like an odd peace. Like I couldn't feel anything but the stillness, the quiet, the peace. It was peace. Okay. And I saw there was just a very, very quick flash of light. Like I wouldn't even call it a nanosecond. It was just a quick flash of light. And then the feeling of the room changed even more because I looked up. I was still lying in my bed. And actually, I was kind of sat up a little bit by that point when I saw the flash. I kind of did one of these, and I was kind of leaned over towards my right. And I look up, and there's a 8 to 9 foot being standing over me. He wasn't really over me, I should say. It was more, he was on the other side because I was on the left side of the bed. My husband was on the right. He was standing up here, and of course, he was so tall he had to lean over because he was going to touch the ceiling if he didn't, and that's why I said he was leaning over me. So he wasn't trying to. It was just like, he couldn't stand in my house. So, so, and this being only had 3 fingers and a thumb. So the being actually reached down like this as to grab my hand, okay, as anybody would, as in human culture, right? But I could tell that I had just a slight bit of fear because I wasn't understanding what was going on. It was my first time that I ever remembered anything that I was conscious, So and I say he lightly, reaches down, and I had my hands, actually at that time I had like leaned over my husband and did one of these. And it was like I was holding on to him, like we were going down a slide together or something, and you had to hold on to each other, but reached down and took my hand, but he didn't grab my hand, he didn't force my hand, he didn't, squeeze, he didn't pull, he didn't do anything like that. He just lightly, very lightly reached down, did one of these, okay, and that was it. He didn't have to pull, he didn't tug me away, he didn't yank me. And when I thought about that later, I'm a nurse, for those of you who don't know, and this was something that we learned in nursing school. It was a sign of compassion when you have a scared patient. You don't hold their hand, you don't hold their wrist to try to calm them down because that kind of adds to the fear. Instead, you just use 2 fingers like this in the palm of their hand, and it's a sign of peace and sign of calming, and this is exactly what this being did. He used those 2 fingers and just lightly placed them in the palm of my hand. And then it was like there was another quick flash. And then the next thing I remember at that time was that I woke up in the morning, and that was it. And I do remember now, I could see the flashing of faces, like I was talking to others, I was talking to many others, and it was like I saw the flashes of each face that I was talking to, and it was like, okay, the next one, and the next one, and I saw different beings, I saw different humans, I saw different places. I remember seeing a few places. I remember seeing a few sunset scenes, and they weren't of Earth. They were, I discovered later, they were in Arcturus, and then also some planets in the Pleiades as well. So I was gone for a very long time. I just don't know how long that was in order to fly here and fly there. But they've got the technology to use, we would call it teleportation or blinking or whatever you want to call it. So, and then I I did not talk about it. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell my kids, of course. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell anybody. I kept that to myself for a few months. And then I finally told this story on one of my Facebook live feeds, because what do you make of that when you first experience, when you weren't expecting that, you know? And then as I was doing my research, I discovered that this being was Arcturian. He did have a dark blue, almost purplish skin, and it was skin that was very similar to our own. It was a little thicker, actually. The skin was a little bit thicker, almost, I don't want to say calloused, but just thicker. And I got a couple of comments here, amazing things that are happening. So, oh yeah, it sounds amazing. What an experience it was, yeah. And no hair, of course. The head was bigger, of course. And then what really stuck out to me was the head, because the lobes, ours are kind of flat, or our head is kind of shaped roundly. There's no bulges. There's no, there's nothing like that. The parietal lobes were actually kind of like it was almost like it was heart shaped like this. And then there was, this is what stuck out the most. The absolute first thing that I noticed was there was a ridge down here. So it wasn't just the parietal lobes that were heart shaped, but then you had like a very distinct ridge right here where the third eye would be, or just down the middle of the forehead. I would say 8 to 9 feet. And the fingers, they were much longer than our own. They were very long and skinny. So I would say maybe half a length longer than ours, maybe. But they were very, very long, very skinny. There's only 3 and a thumb. I did get the impression that it was very different that the being would have came into the home. Usually when you hear of abduction stories, you hear that you're beamed up, with a light or whatever, and I assume that this still happens, to where you float up, either your body or astrally.
That's my story. We were on the road traveling. It didn't happen in our home.
Okay.
The one that I remember.
Yeah.
There's been several. I like them, but the one that opened me up, the beings that I seen, what surprised me was they looked very humanoid. That confused me.
Exactly. And I've seen some of those too. Right.
And that confused me.
Exactly. And that will a lot of people.
At the time, that confused me the most.
Mm-hmm. And that,
you'd see aliens, they show the grays and all that, on the TV.
Yeah. So aliens. Yeah.
When they come to you and they're not what you expect. There's a factor of fear, but there's also the love that radiates from them, that does give you the comfortability to know that they're not here to harm. Like you hear a lot in the media that they're here to harm, and yes, there are beings out there that do want to harm us.
Yeah, can't say there's not. Right,
but
exactly.
The ones that you're encountering, these are loving beings, light beings, and they're here to help us.
Exactly. They want the best for us. Yes. They want us to expand. They want us to grow. That's why they're here helping. And you are absolutely right. That doesn't mean there's not bad or negative, I should say, entities out there. But I'm telling you, the good, the positive, the loving ones outweigh that by so far. But
in the media we hear a lot about the negative and the dark forces, but to know that with the dark and comes the light, and there are the light beings, and to know that we are being guided and they are proud of us, and we chose a hard journey, and that the life here down on earth was never meant to be easy.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely. We learned from the hard stuff.
That we might actually travel. That's when I was told I was Syrian.
Okay.
That I came from Sirius.
Okay. Mm. So you're Illyrian?
It wasn't Indian
abduction, but it was in the
Astral travel, because
Okay.
I was confused at the abduction,
Yes. Okay.
you know.
what I'm saying.
And I think, and that brings a good subject, is that some of our abductions are not happening physically, but they're happening astrally. And we are traveling with them astrally, and experiences. So people think it didn't happen because they only dreamt about it, or it happened in an astral projection, or, first of all, your dreams, we are traveling there, okay? And second of all, this is how most of them happen, it's astrally, okay? And because our energetic self is more open to the fact that they are there and more open to our message than our physical self. It is very rare that a physical abduction would actually take place, unless they are wanting to, um, unless they are wanting to really, really open you up, or they want to do some kind of a DNA test or something, which the when the positive is doing this, it's to help you, it's to diagnose you, it's to look at your profile and see markers, and you have, you got to think too, it seems to run in families with the abduction thing, so they tend to pick on family members, and this is why, because they get your genetic material and they can track your family, your genes. So um this is why they do it. I'm sure that the negative ones have a different agenda there, always, but uh, so an experience that I had astrally was incredible, and I heard somebody else talking about this the other day, so I found it interesting that, and this was somebody on the show, the YouTube show, goodness, oh, brain, what is it? Edge of Wonder. Okay, and they had somebody on there. He was a well-known author. I can't think of his name now, but he was talking about this experience he had, and I said, I had that experience too. I talk about it all the time. So, I was up with my guide, so it was astral. I don't want to use abduction because then it sounds like it was against my will, and it wasn't. Most certainly, it was not against my will, because I was traveling with them, and they were giving me insight and knowledge. And so the first part of that experience was I was literally flying with one of my guides. I was traveling with her, and this was a humanoid, okay, as well. And I would consider her a extra dimensional being, very humanoid like. The only subtle difference is her eyes, like, are just a little bit bigger, like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6% larger than a human, but they're non-terrestrials. I say they are extra dimensional. I was literally flying with her, and this was the point of this experience, I was traveling the cosmos. I was just astral traveling around and seeing stars and seeing planets whiz by me. And then we come to a halt just in the middle of the cosmos, just stopped. And we were talking for a bit, uh, and I laugh at myself now because of the way that I handled it, because I feel like I should have handled it more comfortably, I guess. But she wanted me to, because we were gonna like slingshot back to Earth, okay, and or the solar system. Actually, it was more because I was so worried about that we weren't gonna find our solar system anymore if we flew out too far. And she's, no, you're fine. I've got you. Um, and I also saw other beings that were watching us, kind of going out and playing and looking at things. And so these were my other guides. And so we were going to slingshot back, and she was saying, "Look up, because this is the best part. You don't want to look down for this. This is the best part, is to look up and see where you're going and see everything move past you." And it was like, when you're on the swing. Have you been on one of the tall swings at a theme park where it takes you up really high and it spins you around, and then they say, look down, and you're like, no, I don't want to, I don't want to. It was like that. I was like, no, I don't want to, I don't want to, And finally I did. I looked up, and we just slingshotted back to home, and I could see stars and planets and colors and energy, and it was just incredible. It was like something out of Star Wars or Star Trek. It really was. Like, now I know how they got their idea. That's what it looks like. And so we get back to Earth, and I was in one of their ships, and it was like an energy ship, kind of. They had this technology to where they were showing me how they seeded Earth physically, and they were showing me how they were monitoring Earth. They were monitoring every being, every creature, every everything, and the screens like are so hard to describe because it's not like a computer screen here, or it wasn't like where you could physically move up and touch it. It wasn't like that. They were like floating in air, and they were digital, but they were holographic, kind of. But
Yes.
they were moving things around consciously. It was like they were thinking, okay, scroll up, and then it would scroll up for them. It was like a telepathic
I believe
connection.
the crystal technology with the screens.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yes, exactly. And it was like consciousness infused. Like they were using their own consciousness to move things around inside this
Like a
technology.
chess game.
Yes, like a chess, but
Yes,
it was tactical. Yes.
exactly. And this is the type of technology that they've got out there, and they don't have to type on a keyboard. They just move around the screen with their thoughts and their consciousness. And then they were showing me each creature, each being on Earth. Okay, so take a fish for example. They would already have genetic material from a fish, either from a different planet or a previous time on Earth, and they would seed these fish in this certain type of ocean. Okay, and so they would do this, and then they would go back into. They don't even really have to get out of the ship to do that, I guess. But I'm trying to put a visual in your guys' mind with this. So they would get back in their ship, and then they would. The time does not fluctuate the way that we think of time in our human brains. Okay, they have the ability to work with time in such a way consciously that they can go forward in time or backwards in time or whatever. But if you're working on something like you're seeding the earth with this type of fish, so they would go out of the earth in such a way to where an hour would be 10,000 years. So they would do that all while monitoring this fish within that 10,000 years, even though it wasn't 10,000 years for them. It was really hard to wrap my head around that. And I'm hoping that I'm making sense. Like, they were able to monitor that fish the whole time, even though it was not that long for them. They still had dibs on it. They still had track on it with this technology. Okay, it wasn't like they implanted a chip in the fish, and then that's how they were doing it. No, they I can't wrap my head around it. They had energetic markers, I don't know. But and then they would come back and do samples on this fish and see how it was growing and responding and developing, and then they would tweak it or whatever. Then they would come back, go back out, and do the same thing. And this is how they were seeding Earth with things that, but they were able to, with this technology and these crystal technology screens or holographic, something, they could bring up every entity, every creature, everything, and monitor it, on this. So they've got a file on me, they've got a file on Larissa. Most of the time, who we see this do is our family. So it's the Arcturians, it's the Syrians. They know where their
One thing
people
I
are.
was going to say, Trish,
What's that?
when I was just going to say that same exact thing that you just went to, that,
Mhm.
I was afraid at first when I had experienced the abduction with my sister,
Oh,
that
sure.
was my mind. But then to find out that that was my star family,
Mhm.
that, the part of being abducted you don't really remember anymore because it's not important.
Exactly.
When
Right.
you find out that they're actually your star family, and
Yes.
they do know who you are, and they do
Exactly.
know how to find you and where to find you. I mean,
Exactly. It
I
doesn't
don't
matter
know
where
if
you
your
are.
case, but in my case, it's my family that's coming.
Yeah,
So,
and mine too. Mine too. And I do messages for other groups and other group consciousnesses, so they may have me on as a guest on their ship or their area wherever they're at for a little bit. But when I'm getting downloads, when I'm getting energetic upgrades or something like that, it's my star family. And I would say that 99% of us, that are tuning into this, it's probably the same. It's probably the same. Um, if you're in the kind of work that I am, it may be different from time to time, but most of the time, it's the family. It's the soul family. It's my soul group. So absolutely. So did that give you a type of ease to know that it was your star family and that they were just looking out for you, they were just checking up on you, and they were
absolutely.
mm,
I think that's when you start awakening, when you realize that these beings that once scared you are not really scary, that they're your family. You start
exactly.
getting more downloads. That's when I think you start realizing that this is our body here on this earthly plane, that we live on other planes, that this is not the only one.
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
think that's when the ascending starts happening, the awakening starts happening. The things you eat start
Exactly.
mattering, or you want to work on your chakra system to know that they are gateways and that you want to open that up, and
Exactly.
that what you think can become into the definite, because we are creating our reality. You start to think about that, and I think once you welcome it and you're not afraid of it anymore, that's when the enlightenment happens. I believe that's how I actually started enlightening more and more, was realizing that abduction wasn't meant to be scary. That
Exactly.
they were, and that's why it happened with my sister, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because that was our star family coming
Exactly.
to check on us, update us, upgrade us. Like, my sister's not doing what I'm doing. She still is learning from me.
Okay. And that's okay. Yeah.
Not on the same wave as I am.
Right.
So, I mean, your family here on Earth doesn't have to necessarily, you're my sister. I needed you because you are my sister, my soul tribe, my part of my soul tribe, my soul family. I needed you. You're on that wave. Now, my sister, who was with me during the abductions, still not on the same enlightenment path that I'm on.
Yeah.
She's not woke to what I am. And that just goes to show that our physical family here on Earth, we have many families. We have our star families, our physical families.
Exactly. All right.
Our galactic families.
Exactly, right. And we have our energetic family, or we have and I find myself closer to my energetic family and my soul family a lot of times than I do my physical. And that's, I love you, Mom, if you're watching. It's not that, not in that way, but as far as being on the same wavelength and able to express myself and express my experiences, and it just get out my knowledge, get out my true self, that your soul family is the ones, that are going to allow you to do that. And you may have some soul family mixed in with your physical family too. That doesn't mean that, you don't, but.
And as you say that, I am lucky to have the love of my life, who is also on this soul journey,
which is so awesome.
He is my twin flame, and
awesome.
We've done this millennia.
Awesome.
And I am lucky enough to have him also in my soul tribe.
I know.
Star family.
That is so awesome, and it's not a mistake that you're in union with him again at this time. You were ready for that in your stage of your learning, and so was he. Yeah, it's all divine timing. It was supposed to be that way.
I'm serious.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you're Arcturians. For all of us to be in one collective as a family right now, and we all come from different star systems.
Yeah. And
that's amazing.
Exactly. And that brings up a good point. Exactly. I mean, you are Syrian, but yet I'm Arcturian. We are from different star systems, but yet we're soul family still. So that tells you, okay, so Huge point there. So as much as we war here on Earth just by being different countries, and then you see Syrians and Arcturians being soul family and contributing together and being joint messengers of this time here on Earth, and being able to have peace between the two groups and work together, and that says something that we need to get this planet on that path, because this is where we need to be headed. Do we want to be in a timeline to where we enter the cosmos, but we're still warring, and we're gonna, and then if we do that, then we're gonna be in galactic wars with other beings that are gonna be so far technically advanced they could, wipe us in a second. Or do we want to enter cosmos during this time on Earth with love and peace and understanding and togetherness and as a collective? Exactly, and this is exactly why we do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's exactly why we are here at this time.
And I believe that's why in this time, in this space right now, is not only you and I. We have been, me and you together. We just come on here tonight as a united sisterhood, but we have been sisters for years now.
Oh yes.
Realizing that our purpose here together at this moment in time is for me and you to do what we are doing tonight.
Exactly, and it's going to continue. It's going to go. It's going to continue and continue. Exactly. Spread that awareness. Spread that consciousness. Spread it. And if you're coming on and you don't understand things completely, that's okay. The point is, your higher self knows what we're talking about. Your higher self knows what we're talking about, and it will come to light for you later. Larissa's right though. This is why we're on here right now. We need to bring awareness. We need to bring everything to the light. Again, do we want to enter a race just as a race? Do we want to enter the cosmos? Because that's where we're headed. We're headed, interstellar with all this technology that we're developing. We already have it, but that's another live feed. Do we want to enter that state of this race's evolution warring, or do we want to enter that state with peace and love? So this is exactly why we're on here tonight, to spread that awareness that we got to do something. We got to do something.
Without unity, there's no community, and we have to be as one.
Exactly.
Unity is the community.
Exactly. And I believe that it starts internal. It starts inside. You start with one, and that ripples out. You awaken one to their true selves, and this isn't about awakening to that there. It's not even really about awakening that there is extraterrestrial life, or there is stars behind stars. It's not even about that. It's about awakening to your true self. It's about awakening to your own light. It's about awakening to what we call your higher self, which is really our multidimensional self. And it's about working on yourself and finding your inner knowledge and finding out who you truly are. Yes. And
manifester, yes.
Exactly, and figuring out that you are the creator of your own reality. You create what's around you by what you're thinking about. And if you haven't already, I have got some excellent channels of videos on just that, about how we actually do this, and we don't. 99.8 of us don't realize that that's what we're doing. We're thinking a thought, and then it ripples out energetically. Because it's an energetic imprint. A thought is an energetic imprint. You ripple that out around you. It starts here and then it goes outward. Okay, that's the ripple. And then what you are thinking mirrors you. All right, so if you're thinking, how crazy would it be if a black cat crossed the road right now? This is just an example. And then 10 seconds later, you see a black cat. Now, that's an extreme because it doesn't happen that fast because of Earth being so third dimensional and heavy and lower vibrational right now. with all this purging and stuff going on. But that's just an example to understand how things are. Have you ever been thinking about a song, all of a sudden and the song will come on the radio later that day? That's not really you picking up on, that's not really you being psychic and per se and picking up on that. That is actually you.
That's synchronicity in its finest.
Yeah, but that's also you creating that from you spreading that thought, and that you moving that timeline to you, and then it's your synchronicity because
they we end up calling or texting or
exactly. So be careful what you're thinking about. Like I've said to myself, once I caught on to that and realized what was happening, like I've had to catch myself thinking about an experience. So maybe I was thinking about an experience with somebody that I'd rather not run into, or just, anything like that in particular. Maybe it was somebody that I didn't click real well with and I always hated working with or something like that. And then I go, I better stop it because now I'm going to run into them later, and sure enough, you do. So then you have to run, the other way and shoot, I did it, this isn't.
That's such a good example.
But it is. I mean, sorry, and it happened.
That's how it works. Yeah.
It is, yeah, and I'm sure everybody, at least 90% of people that are watching this, can probably relate to that. We've all had that one person we don't enjoy working with.
I'd like to tell you an example of your story that you just said.
Yeah.
So, me and my love, we just love Taylor Swift.
Awesome.
And her song Lover came out.
Yes.
And we sing the song to each other with, our little fake microphones we made out of an aluminum foil holder or paper towel holder. We just made fake microphones and
that's awesome.
Like that. We keep it childlike around here.
You know what? That is awesome. Yeah.
We put that out into the collective, out on my Snapchat, out on my Facebook, and how much we love the song. And I mean, I'm not saying that we did it, but we feel like the power of love is more.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
the other night on the AMAs, Taylor Swift won, Artist of the Decade, and her song, Lover, just happened to be one of the songs that she had, put into her montage up there on stage.
Awesome.
And, me and him tried, we kind of think, yeah, maybe we had something to do with that,
That's,
yeah. How much we love her, So it's just a little bit of what you were saying, that, we are the creators of our reality, and if we don't like somebody and we talk about them, then they're going to show up in, at the store or working with them or vice versa. But
exactly.
In another case, putting out that how much we love Taylor Swift and the song Lover and what we think of her,
Exactly.
And she wins that because we were arguing with our son and he's not a Taylor Swift fan. And then we're like, Artist of the Decade, 10 more years before we get one of those things that we create, but it seems like we want to see in the world, and there it was.
That's awesome.
Like that was our manifestation.
And you bring up another awesome point is the intention of love. It's like, I can't even tell you how many more times magnified it is than any other vibration here. The intention, just having the intention of love will get you farther with your manifesting than anything on this planet ever will. Okay. And don't ever think for 1 minute that you being one person, this goes for you too, Larissa, especially, you being just one person cannot make an effect. Going back, my guides, have always said, we have no clue how powerful we are. And once we step into the intention of love, or having the intention of love, or giving the intention of love, we magnify that tenfold. The most powerful beings.
Everything that's going on in my life right now.
Absolutely.
Every part of it.
Absolutely. And it's only going to keep me getting better because you're staying in that presence of love.
Yes, and my twin flame also is.
Yep. And it
So,
works both
I mean,
ways. So
I can find, 2 times. It's twofold. It feels like everything that we put out into the collective, our dreams or wants have come into our 3D world.
absolutely.
Literally.
And by working on that together and manifesting on that together, it's going to get you farther than anything ever will. Rather than being with a partner that you feel low vibration around, or there's constant fighting, and
You're gaslighting.
exactly.
It's really hard to
Exactly.
keep your physical body well at that point.
Yep.
To people to realize that stress and negative energy has a negative force on their body, and that their thoughts do come into action, and that
Absolutely.
we have so much we could talk about, Trish, right now. It'd be so hard. We'd have to keep everybody on here for 8 hours.
I know.
How powerful we are to heal our body, that is more powerful than any medicine they'll put in, any IV, any doctor gives you.
Absolutely.
Love is a stronger drug. Love
Absolutely.
can heal. Love can go to a cellular level. And,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I 100%. Absolutely 100%. And you can be, what was I going to say? Shoot. I lost my train of thought with that one.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Our view of anything is to know that the power of love is the strongest entity here on earth, is love, and the highest vibration.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We probably keep people up all night talking about that and how powerful we can be with that.
Sure that the ripple they set off every morning when they wake up in the morning, if their intention comes from a ripple of love, we will all ascend with
absolutely.
Our planet.
Absolutely.
All in a uniform as one collective.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you are so right. And it's only going to take a very small percentage of those that are awakened and having the intention of love and gratefulness and just being on the positive polarity to slingshot us into this ascension. And one of the things that has been brought up on my guides just in the last week, I'm sure that it's made to be mentioned here. That's kind of how they work with me. They give me things throughout the week, or when they know I'm going to be going live soon, so that I can bring it up in the shows. But is that we've already crossed the threshold of how many of us are awakened and how many of us are moving more towards love and light and positivity and forgiving and understanding. There's like a threshold point. Like there's like the doorway, and then there's like, I should say there's a door frame, and then there's like the door, and then once we get past the door, there's like, it like slingshots us. So like it's only getting faster, like this. Exactly. Like the vibration is only getting faster because we've reached that threshold that it took how many number of souls are positive polarity and loving and forgiving and understanding and of light, not heavy, of light, and also filled with light and love.
The veil is getting thinner.
Exactly. Yep.
And people that aren't awake are going to start seeing things, and it's going, like you said, and I said earlier, I don't know if it was on our live feed or if it was just together, that people are going to wake up and they're going to look for answers, and they're going to find us. Like, yeah. Oh, this is what Trish and Larissa was talking about.
Exactly.
They're going to know who to turn to.
Exactly. We were talking about that before we came on, and so, you guys are going to hear it first from us. Is, there has been talk about in the mainstream media about disclosures here and disclosures there. I can't make that shit up, but there will be a disclosure, and we are going to learn some things from the people that were told that we had to love and worship and things, and we're going to be told things that aren't going to be very pretty. But also, on the other hand, we're going to be shown a whole new reality. We're going to be shown a whole new loving reality. On the other side too, we're going to get the bad along with the good. But it's really going to shatter some people's belief systems. And that's kind of what we were talking about, is when this disclosure comes out about certain things, some people are going to have a very hard time with it because they've devoted their lives to living a certain way, and then they're going to find out that it was all a lie. So they're gonna be going, gosh, that's what Trish and Larissa were talking about. I need to reach out and see what my next steps are, because there will be a lot of people that they're gonna just be so shattered. It's gonna be hard for them to get out of bed. Yeah.
Absolutely. Devastated, distraught.
Absolutely. And you know what?
I send everybody in that situation a lot of love.
Absolutely. Me too. And that's all I could ever hope for them, is that they heal it and they love it and they get past it, they move past it, and I'm here to help, if and when that does happen, I should say. Because it's no longer an if. We've reached that threshold to where this vibration of Earth is getting faster and faster, and we're just going to be slingshotted, into this ascension. And I feel like ascension and disclosure is going to happen. Maybe not immediately simultaneously, but it's going to be pretty close together, and I'm not sure which one's going to come first. I feel like disclosure would come first, and then that way we can be prepared for when we do ascend, and then the extra dimensionals and all them come in, when we start seeing them physically, because that's what's going to happen when we do go through this ascension. And ascension is nothing more than an expansion of consciousness. So they are literally right here, okay? But we can't see because they're slightly in a different vibration. Now, when we do this ascension and we expand our consciousness, we start seeing into those slightly different frequencies and vibrations. So we're going to be seeing them. I feel like disclosure would be beneficial if it would come first. Then we can be prepared and understand when we start seeing those physically, or interacting with them. I know that Corey Good and David Wilcock talk a lot about how yes, I know, can't, but I know he was talking about, Corey was anyway, about there is a timeline of Earth where they had their ascension process, they had their solar event, and before they had their disclosure. So, and that's not, I'm not going to say that's not beneficial either, but I feel like if we were to get some type of disclosure before this would happen, I feel like the shatteredness of the people that whose belief systems will be shattered will be less. The effect will be less. So instead of just the ascension event happening, and then all of a sudden in front of them they're seeing a 9-foot Arcturian saying, "Hi, hello, how are you?" You know what I mean? Like, I feel like
they'd be saying it telepathically.
Yeah, of course.
We don't expect to talk with our mouths, because that language does not exist in the other frequencies.
Exactly. 100%. Exactly. And that alone, they wouldn't know what to expect. They're just like, whoa, what is happening? This is something I've told doesn't exist, So if they were told first a little bit even and know what to expect, then I feel like that could be a little bit better. Oh, I think I've got some technical difficulties here. Hold on.
We've cut out a few times on my end.
Okay. I clicked no because it was trying to close my browser on me. I think we're stuff that is messing our browsers up here. As usual. It wouldn't be one of my shows.
Another person for our viewers to, if they don't know about Dr. Stephen Greer, he's another.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, please check it out. And then he's made a couple of movie series.
And we're not the only one talking about him.
No, yeah.
About the avian race.
The blue avians, yes. Who are another one that are right in there with being, I think they are 6 density beings, so they're super high vibrational, super loving, super forgiving, and just super awesome. And he talks a lot about them. I think though, Corey Good says that they actually were 6 density and they had to descend into fifth so that they could actually communicate with us because of the such frequency difference, vibrational difference, and then they moved back into their original, which was interesting. But my daughter, my 4-year-old daughter, so talking about the kids again anyway, that they're coming in this way, she talks a lot about how she has a being that kind of look only because she's really short and has a long nose and she's got green colored skin. Um she comes together and they fly to the moon together and they fly to first for a long time it was just the moon. And they would just play on the moon and skip around, and then they would come back. They fly back, and I would ask her, no, she doesn't hear me she doesn't hear me do my life. She doesn't hear me talk about it. Um, and I asked her how she got there, and she says, well, we flew. And I said, well, how did you fly? And she says, well, either in a spaceship or with our arms. And I'm like, wait, how do you even know the word spaceship? And because she wasn't exposed to that. Well, then it evolved into um, she was going to other planets, she says, and she has a planet she calls the Fun Planet. And I said, well, what color is the Fun Planet? And she said it was rainbow colored. And then another being had come into play. She said somebody else was going with them, and this being is. I asked her to describe it in a 4-year-old's way, so it's kind of hard to follow, but a 4-year-old is going to describe it how she's allowed to with her known vocabulary and learned vocabulary. It's like someone from the 1800s describing a computer, but she says that this being is a lot taller than me, mommy, and the being has blue skin and blue hair. And I asked her what her name was. She said her name was Love Love. And I said, well, what does she say to you? And she says, I love you a lot. And then I asked her more about this fun planet that's rainbow colored. And I said, well, how did the rainbows get there? And she says, oh, we make them. And I said, well, what do you mean? And she says, well, Love, and showed me how to move my arms like this. And then the colors would come out of my hands. And we were making the rainbows. So, I mean, when you really put that into perspective, and she was showing her how to use her energy or manipulate energy and move it around into, different shapes and stuff. So, isn't from a 4-year-old's point of view, though, that's how but I really had to break it down in my own mind about what these beings were showing her how to do. And she talks about going to a lot of planets and a spaceship and then coming back. And my 14-year-old is awakened too, and then I thought he was awakened, and then she started talking about this, and I said, holy cow, she's even more high vibrational. And then the 2-year-old isn't old enough really to talk about it if he is experiencing it, so I don't know yet. But
my grandson was 4 when I realized how he awakened. At the age of 4 is when I think you realize a lot of awakened individuals. My grandson was 4, and he said he came from a planet where they played all the time.
Awesome.
And that there was never any nighttime.
Awesome.
And, he asked me why it was so dark on Earth because it was so heavy here. And those are, kind of hard things to explain to a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Like I come from, Grandma, we played all the time.
Oh.
It's sunshiny all the time. Oh. And why is it so dark here on
Yeah.
And that's a hard one.
How do you answer that?
Not from here.
Exactly. And how do you answer that? And he already knows the answer, and that's another good subject is that, my daughter, I think my daughter's generation, so your 4-year-old grandson, along with my 4-year-old daughter, and any other 4-year-old or below, or even a little bit older, I would put into that category, but they don't have any patience, or patience was one of their good lessons, I would think. And society is kind of allowing it too with all these new technologies. We get things almost instantly sometimes. So when they're not having patience about getting something, this is one of my daughter's main lessons right now is patience. But it made me think, she's so high vibrational. She came from a place where she could instantly manifest there probably was no lagging in the time of her thinking it and her manifesting it, especially in these energy dimensions and these energy realms that we're all as star seeds coming from, just higher vibrational in general. You know, your manifestation time is like next to nothing. So when you come on Earth and then you gotta wait for something, well, that's frustrating because it's like I came from a place where we didn't have to wait on that. It was just appeared, you know. And this is why a lot of,
Their hand in their rainbow.
yeah, exactly. And yes. So this is a lot of trouble. That's the only that's my daughter's main lessons, but this is something that I can work on now that I know where it's coming from. I got to explain to her, you know, the process of, you know, the making of the sippy cup full of water. You know, I gotta make it. I can't instantly make it appear. We gotta learn how to do this, you know, just to get a good example. But some of y'all can probably relate to that, you know. We just gotta show them that it takes a little bit longer here, but we can manifest it. It just, you know, but the best way to do that is to come from the fastest way, and this isn't meant to be greedy, but the fastest, most effective way to manifest anything is come from an intention of love. You know, that's going to get you anything faster and farther and more of than anything else, you know. It's probably a repeat from something I said earlier, but
Vibration.
absolutely. But let's see. Something was trying to get. I think I have missed a couple of comments. Oh no. Okay. I'm experienced as a child. Be sleeping.
I would love to answer questions if there's any out there.
Yeah, absolutely, guys.
Do we have anybody asking questions?
You gotta catch me and Larissa. We'll just start going once we get into something. We're like in it, man. So just flag us or something. If you got a question, we'll be happy to answer it. So Florida Gator Girl says, I had many experiences as a child. I would be sleeping, then wake into another room with all white walls, one chair, one table, and then one wall was a black hole swirling around. Okay, so that was your portal. Okay.
A portal, right?
Yeah.
Probably a Stargate.
Probably. Something was trying to get me to go in the black hole, but I wouldn't. I was so scared. The dreams were repetitive for a while and they stopped. Okay. How would one know where?
Wasn't ready at that time.
Yeah, maybe you weren't ready to know what that was at that time. That's okay. I'm not really picking up anything that it was bad. I feel like that was probably they were probably showing you how to move around. That was your portal, and they were probably training you to go through these from place to place. I know this happens with me a lot. They train us a lot in our dreams. We're being shown different things not to scare us, but so we know how to do them. They were actually showing you how to move through portals and to different spaces of the universe.
Time, which is something that we're all experiencing right now. My husband and my brother the other day, both born in November, both are Scorpio, but they had both experienced on the same day feeling like they were floating 5 feet above the earth, and that everything around them was slowing down in slow motion. So as of this moment, like you said, like we are ascending, this earth is ascending. There's already enough of us that has shined the light, has shown the love, has given basically our ticket to ascend.
Absolutely.
That the people that don't even know that they are ascending
they
are
will
experiencing the space and time and the space-time continuum, I guess.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Slowing down, speeding down.
Exactly.
Bringing in a lot of our manifestations. A lot of people are experiencing it. Some of them are not acknowledging that they're going through the ascending because they don't really know what it is. Some people are experiencing migraine headaches right now.
Yep.
They're experiencing back pain.
Mm-hmm.
They're experiencing time shifts. It's all a part of what we are all striving to do as a collective.
Exactly.
We are all one. We are all moving forward.
Where we go one, we go all.
Some don't know, but we're all still doing it.
You got it, girl. And some people people just don't want to talk about it. They don't know what it is, or they're scared they're crazy, or they know something's different, something's off, something doesn't seem right. You're right. With the time shifts and
my God, it showed me that their people are getting downloads. They're being flashed with blue lights.
yes,
It's a fast blue light, and
yes,
it's not everybody.
yes,
It's certain people.
yeah, the
and
ones that are
that's-
ready, right? You got it. The ones that are ready for it. And in that same experience, when I was out flying around with one of my guides, just traveling and just sightseeing, I guess, I don't know, but I also met with, in that same experience, it was a group consciousness, and they called themselves the Rays, Rays, and this is what they were doing, is they were covering us in blue light or purple light. Typically, these were colors of the higher chakras, so blue, green, violet, even white. They were just covering us in that light, just because that color alone, it's the frequency, and that frequency is helping us raise, and that inside this light is encoded with light codes and loving energy, and there's so much that comes in this light. It's just crazy. So, and the downloads in general are coming from this light. So, and you didn't even know about that whenever you were talking to me about, you saw this blue light and it was shining on different people here and there. I said, yeah, well, that's what they were doing. That's what they told me they were, way back then. And it was
a pulsating laser is how I would have to feel like it was described. It was so fast, and it was only hitting certain, and it wasn't like a random, like every 3 people. Like this download was happening to people who were meant to get a pulsated laser guided,
like specific
energy,
people.
Yeah, specific. Yes,
absolutely.
The jolt to awaken or to
exactly, to be activated or awakened.
And I'd like to hear if there's any viewers out there that have experienced this week that
totally
could say like, oh my gosh.
No, and I think most of anybody that would tune on. Exactly. And don't be afraid, don't be afraid to speak up. If you have experienced anything, you can contact me or Larissa or somebody that that's awakened or at least talks about this stuff. And just to reach out, and do not be afraid to talk about this stuff. I feel like now is the time that we need to start speaking up and telling our truths and speaking our truths and being in our truths and being our true selves. And like we need to just start getting out there and not being afraid of being who we are and where we come from. And it's not those times are past us. Living in those times are way far behind us, and we've already reached that threshold where we're going to ascend, whether some people like it or not. And
our arms and our hearts are wide open to answer the questions
absolutely
for anybody out there.
Absolutely.
Me and Trish are willing to definitely open our hearts and our arms and to help you with your questions or your loneliness or isolation of the ascending process of the inner work.
Yep.
And if you like what we're doing, let us know. We'll keep coming. Yeah. We'll keep answering questions.
Absolutely. And if you guys would love us to come on and talk about something specific, let us know. We're more than happy to do that. If you need to know or feel like you need to know more about a certain topic, please let us know, because we'd be more than happy to. I love answering questions. That's why I started doing what I did, because I am not a public speaker. You would have never found me live in front of a camera even 5 years ago. But, after I had my experience and I had nobody to talk to, my guides were like, you should start getting on there. I've seen a couple of people here and there doing it. And, my guides were like, you should start getting on there, because you remember how you had nobody to talk to, and you had nobody to answer your questions. And then, like, yeah, well, somebody out there is going through what you went through or is going through, And you could have that answer that you yourself didn't have. You could be that somebody that could answer the questions for them and validate for them that this, because it is an isolating journey. It really is. I mean, it's isolating, it's lonely sometimes. It's becoming more and more accepted, I think, in society nowadays. But something was brought to my attention a while ago too, is the whole slavery thing, and how it was that's what reality was 200 years ago, was slavery. And then one person came in and changed all that, and then slowly but surely we live in a completely different reality now. This is how it's working with one generation to the next. And here we are placing that stepping stone for hopefully my children, and well, I hope I see it in my own generation. Of course I know I will, but we're laying that foundation. We are that foundation for this loving reality to come forth into this earth. Take that for an example, is that look at how the reality was in 1861, and then look at how reality was in 1871.
Well, we wouldn't be talking about this in 1861 either. We would have been burned at a stake
Oh, yeah.
at some point in our life.
Exactly. And many of us have past lives to where we have been, and this is why some of the throat chakras are blocked right now, is because we've spoken our truth and we've been burned at the stake for it. So that's just something that in this life that we're working through, and we're healing. And by speaking your truth, you're letting go of that. You're healing that by speaking your truth. You're opening that up by speaking, and
I am here. I am a star seed. I am ready for this. I came for this. This is my path. This is my journey. This is my calling. And whether people accept it or not, the people who are meant to hear this message are hearing it, will hear it, will find this video one day and be like, I need to look these guys up because I needed to hear all of this.
They were on to something. Exactly.
And
exactly.
The oppressing of women back, it's say in 1861, is a physical description of basically what we're doing on an energetic level.
Yeah, we're liberating our
expression of our mind, our free will. We were given free will and thinking, but it has been oppressed.
Absolutely.
So if that, the old Western days is a physical description of kind of, I guess, what our
you're right.
vision is today.
You're right. That is an excellent example. It's like it was physicality back then that we were in chains, and that. But this is you're totally spot on. I didn't even put that together. And now it's just like we're in energetic chains because we're slaves to our own energy, and we're the stepping stone to allowing us to break free of that. One thing everybody needs to put into perspective is that we can't keep waiting on somebody else to come and do that for us. That comes from ourselves. We are that person that's going to save ourselves. Okay, if we keep waiting on somebody else to come in and exactly, if we keep waiting on somebody to come in and sweep us off our feet and say this is how it's done, and you're free now, and it doesn't work that way. We save ourselves from the inside out, and therefore by doing so we're saving others, because being part of the collective and also that energy ripples out onto anybody that you interact with. That's rippling out on my interaction with the checkout lady at the store earlier. That energy rippled out to her in some way, shape, or form. Okay, the stranger that you bump into on the street that you said you were sorry to because you accidentally bumped into him, you know what? You could have been the first person to say you're sorry to him in a year. So he really took that in and just
smile.
Yeah.
Or is he smiling at somebody who needed to see somebody smile?
Exactly, 100%.
A smile is amazing.
It only takes so little. It only takes such a little bit of kindness to go a long way.
Universal. Laughing is universal. Music is universal.
Mm-hmm.
And all of us are universal.
You got it.
So by knowing that, I guess that's kind of an easy way of saying about our ripple. Mm-hmm. That laughing is universal. Love is universal. you know, waving is universal, smiling is universal. If we remember to do those small things, putting it into the collective, you know, by healing ourselves, going on these journeys, like you said, our inner journey is so hard. That's not easy. To go find
Absolutely.
our shadow self, to
Absolutely.
battle our dragons in that shadow self. I mean, none
Absolutely.
of that's easy. But we can help ourselves by, okay, so maybe you don't believe everything we're saying, but what if you just by chance turned on healing, you know, like 111 hertz music, which is a divine, you know, tone. What if you just turn that on?
Exactly.
You
Find
woke
out
up
for yourself. Yeah.
later, like, you know what, I feel more calm today, even though we didn't know that we were putting that, you know, we were listening to it, but our body was listening to it at a cellular level, which
Absolutely.
we don't know, but everything we do is happening at a deeper level. And to
Absolutely.
remember that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. You did. Absolutely. And, you know, kind of adding on to everything's going on in a deeper level, you know, even physically, it's so deep because we have, what, 100 billion cells that all have to work in unison to make this. You know what I mean? That's so deep. Every one of my cells has to be working together to create me. And that's just physical. So there's so much more that what we don't see. Even digestion, we don't sit here and consciously have to think, okay, move salad, you know, leaf to large intestine, you know, we don't do that. No, our cells do that for us. Our cells know, are conscious enough, okay, to do that for us. That is why our cells act as a receiver too from our thoughts. You know, going back to what I said earlier, with our thoughts being a energetic imprint, our cells are listening to what we're saying.
Yeah, like a radio.
Exactly. It's like a radio frequency. And if we're constantly saying, I feel bad, I'm so sad, I feel so guilty, I feel this, I feel that, our cells are listening too. So our cells are going to manifest that as our physical body. So if we're constantly thinking, I'm grateful, I'm loving, I forgive you, yeah, all is well, all is in unison, you know, then our cells start listening to that, and then we're going to be happier, healthier. I ought to show pictures at one point. I know some of you have seen from me before I started this journey, before I had my experience, and then a few years ago, and then today. I literally look like a completely different person. 100%. I do not look the same. Okay, that's because before my thoughts were everything but positive and loving, and then I had my experience and it completely flipped me around for the better, and I look completely different. Completely different. My face is shaped differently. Okay, my eyes are shaped differently. My hair is different because I dyed it, but you know, my eyebrows are different. It's shaped. Now, how do you, well, aside from me doing my grooming, but you know, just trying to be an example here. I mean, I really will show you guys at some point.
Transformed to the cellular level.
Yeah, I really did. I have transformed metaphysically, physically, energetically, and it shows in my physical form. And I seriously do, and I know that the more that one keeps going on this spiritual journey and being of light and lighter and releasing karma and working through traumas and that, you look and act more and more like your higher self, your true self. Our higher self is our true self. Okay.
Younger, vivacious.
Exactly.
And people feel your energy. I hear all the time, oh my gosh, Larissa, you look so happy. You're glowing. You're shining. Well, I am.
Exactly. I really am. Thank you. Yeah.
So
If you only knew. Right. Yep.
That came with a lot of work.
Yep. You know what? 100%. And I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be who I am if it didn't come with the situations that put me through a lot of work. And I am very grateful for those that did, so that I could do that work, because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be who I am. So.
And for all the people out there that are struggling, all the people out there that are struggling or going through those hardships, to remember to come from a place of love is it's it's so easy for us to, to say,
Absolutely,
from a place of love when we're not going
Absolutely.
through these hard times personally but if we do remember, no matter what we are going through, that all the hardships that come our way are for learning. They are a blessing, and you might not see it today. Maybe you'll see it 5 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
But everything, even every terrible hardship we go through, a loss of a loved one, a loss of a job, whatever the loss is, whatever that, because there's darkness always trying to come after.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a part of our.
Can't get away from that. Right. Right.
Look at that hardship as a blessing, then, it's going to transmute. Feel it. Let it come through us. Transmute it. Let it hurt. Let it feel. But don't stay there.
Absolutely.
To remind ourselves that we're going to get through this. It's only temporarily.
Absolutely.
All is well. I am well. And not to stay there.
Absolutely.
I guess that's the point there. Don't stay there.
Absolutely. And it's showing us something. That experience, it's still showing us something. It's still showing us a lesson somewhere, whether how bad we think it is or whatever. It's still showing us something that we need to know, either about ourselves or somebody else. Okay. And we recognize that. It's almost like the healing comes natural, like I know Larissa's right on the money with, I know that we can sit up here and say that like it's easy, but we've had many, 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 many times where it hasn't been that easy for us. That is why we can sit up here and say this like this, because we know that works. We know that when we switch our thoughts over from this is a horrible thing to there's a lesson in it somewhere, you know what, there's still love in it somewhere. What is it showing me about myself? And then it's like that whole perception changes, and it's like the healing comes natural. You don't even think about it, and the next thing you know what, you're not even going to be in that space anymore, because you switched your polarity from this being a negative thing to this is learning. It's still learning.
Yeah, and then you'll hear, oh, I can't believe you went through that, and you still come out smiling, and you're such a happy person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's when you know that you've come a long ways on your journey.
Absolutely.
Because you have accepted the hardship.
Absolutely.
And you've accepted that there was a blessing that would come out of it.
Absolutely. 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 Well, I guess we can wrap this up. Do you know that it's been 2 hours and 15 minutes? That's awesome, though. I knew that.
I didn't. But
yeah.
Trish, before we leave this conversation,
yeah.
And I hope there's going to be many from this.
Oh gosh, yes.
Is there any way that I could just read this? What I put out on Facebook the other day.
Absolutely.
I feel like this message needs to get to the collective.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You go right ahead. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So on November 21st, I was sitting at my table, sitting here pondering life myself, because every day is a journey for Trish and I, just as well as everybody else here on earth. And I was guided to pick up a piece of paper and pen, and I wrote what came through me, because I'm not going to say it's from me. I feel like this is from, my guides, and it's for all of us. So here's what was written down without hesitation. They say life is but a dream, but really it is us, trying to shine light in our darkest places. Hold our heads down, mouth shut, all eyes open. When in silence we shall hear our answers to questions far and wide. Eyes to see, that is all beyond. To witness the magic of all things unexplained and mysterious. Your wondrous magical eyes bewildered by the magnificent glory of all that is. Be still, child. Observe the teacher. That is called your life. Know when to show faith and kindness and compassion. Be humble. You are learning. Know that you are only a piece. You matter, yes, but on a small scale. We are as one. We are all connected, heart and strings. Let the ripple be that from a place of love. Life is but a dream. That is the illusion. The only solution to the not knowing is to be present in this moment. You are the creator of every moment you are breathing, the life you are dreaming or creating. If life is but a dream, don't make it a nightmare. Be humble, learn, create,
Absolutely.
show love and kindness, and above all, be happy.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So I want to leave that with everybody out there.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And you know, that's a form of that's you channeling you. I feel like that was your higher self. I don't even feel like that was your guides. I feel like that was you. So, yep, that's awesome. That's a really good way to leave it. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Thank you, Trish, for having me.
Oh gosh,
I
it's
will come back anytime.
yep. It's been a pleasure, and trust me, we'll do this again. I'm really excited to get this stuff going. It's been a real pleasure. I really appreciate it. Stay on the line, though. Don't hang up on the phone whenever I end this. But
Okay.
so hang on just a minute. But you all, so you can find me. So first of all, don't forget to subscribe and like, and then share everywhere you feel it's necessary. It's about the message. It's not about us. It's about the message. And yes, and click the little bell, tap the little bell, because then you're alerted anytime I come on. Okay, and then go to, if you haven't already, if you've already come from the page, that's great. But if you haven't already, find me on Facebook. And then us too, we do have a Facebook group as well. It's called the Sisters United, the Divine Sisterhood. Thank you. It's a tongue twister when you say it really fast. But that's our special little group that we created just for sisters, and all are welcome, at least from the Love and Light. And thank you all so much for watching and tuning in, and those who were in the chat. And it's been a blessing. And if it wasn't for you, then we wouldn't be doing this, because then there'd be nobody to talk to. So it's all about you guys too. So thank you all for joining, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to either one of us. Thank you.
Thank you.